Gone with the Wind has captured the imagination and acclaim of an entire world. The screen has never known a love story to compare with this. When Rhett Butler meets Scarlett O'Hara.
I love you more than I've ever loved any woman. And I've waited longer for you than I've ever waited for any woman. Scarlett, kiss me. Kiss me once.
Can you honestly say you don't love me?
No, I don't love you.
It's a lie.
Well, even if it is a lie, do you think I'd go off and leave Melanie and the baby?
A love affair you'll remember as long as you live. Filled with all the fire and fury of the times in which it happened.
You've lived in dirt so long you can't understand anything else. And you're jealous of something you can't understand.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. This is one night you're not turning me out.
Gone with the Wind. First picture to win 10 Academy Awards. The most honored, the most talked about motion picture in all film history.
This collection came in 2003. It's owned by Dr. Christopher Sullivan, who lives in Akron, Ohio, and he's a retired endocrinologist. So he's been collecting for just years and years. The highlight of the collection is one of the 8 remaining gowns that Vivian Leigh wore in the film, and it's the only one that's in the original condition. It's absolutely beautiful. It's called the Bengaline Honeymoon Gown. There are thousands of artifacts in this museum. We start out with Margaret Mitchell in the novel. We have part of her personal foreign edition collection, including editions that she signed over to different friends and her husband. Really rare books. We've got information about her life, her home growing up, her work with the Red Cross, and then we have almost the complete foreign edition library because the book was translated over 40 times, which is very rare for a book. It's never been out of print. Margaret Mitchell grew up in Atlanta, and you'll actually see a picture of her family home when you begin. Now, her relatives, some of them lived, south of Atlanta, in different areas around there. Jonesboro now is the real town, but the fictional setting of Tara in the film, Scarlett O'Hara's family home. A couple of years ago, our count was between 9,000 and 10,000 a year, which is very good for a small museum, but I imagine it's more than that now. We're very focused on light control. There's special UV protection on the glass on the windows, and as you can see, the lighting is dim in the building here, and then we don't allow flash photography. Okay. There are so many things that can be done, and if we had the budget, we would do all those things, but for now, being in this old building, we try to maintain the temperature as close to 70 degrees as possible. Dr. Sullivan, like I said, he lives in Ohio, and he used to have just parts of the collection that would travel to different universities and to other museums, and he wanted a permanent home for it. So he knew about the city of Marietta wanting to have a Gone with the Wind museum here. So he made a deal with the city government here, and the collection is leased by the city from him, and then we're all city employees, so we take care of it for him. And then he's happy that people can see it. It's a fantastic story. It really speaks to many, many people. We get people from all over the world that visit here. Every day there are people from different countries that come in here. And people relate to the struggle within it and rising from that. That seems to be the common theme. and I appreciate that about the book as well. And then I also am very interested in the complexities of it, especially as to looking at the actual history of the Civil War and the way it was in the South during that time, and then the fictionalization of it, which can be very problematic. A lot of people take issue with that. The film is a spectacle. It's a beautiful piece of art, but it's not representative of reality. And I would say the same thing for the book. But you have to look at the perspective. The author was writing this. She started in the mid to late 20s and into the 30s there. It was published in 35. She had her perspective from her family, who had told her stories during the Civil War, and it was very much a white Southern perspective. And so she believed what she wrote, but it wasn't necessarily the reality of the situation. This museum is different than a lot. There aren't, every once in a while we get additions to the collection, but that's few and far between. So it doesn't change a lot. So we don't handle the artifacts very often. We do, of course, we're very careful with them. We wear gloves, things like that. But this isn't, you have your Smithsonian funded museums and things like that. This really isn't that type of museum, but we do the best that we can. It really runs very smoothly. We've got a great customer base. It picks up every year. One kind of cool moment, a woman came in and she looked super familiar, and she bought a ticket, was going through the museum, and she came back up, and all of a sudden the woman I was working with was, "You're Morgan Brittany," and she's played Scarlett in a couple of different roles, one in a film about the making of Gone with the Wind. And from that visit, she loved the museum. She became very friendly with everybody that worked here, and she comes to our events sometimes now and does autograph signings, and she's very fascinating. She was a child actress in Hollywood.
Wow.
And she was in The Birds. She was one of the kids that was running away and had birds pegging her.
Not since Birth of a Nation, I can't recall anything in my lifetime that swept throughout America and the world as this book did. No matter where you went, what city you were in, people were reading and weeping over this book.
And what about Anne Rutherford? You've got some of her stuff here. She passed away a year ago.
That's right. She's a wonderful woman. She really became a friend to the museum and the owner of the collection, Dr. Sullivan. She loved Marietta. She was given the key to the city. She's a really wonderful woman. She loved to tell her stories. She grew up in Hollywood, and she was in over 40 films. She was in the Andy Hardy movies as Polly Benedict, and was well known for her other roles too. But her major, she called this a small bit part, but it made her, she said her golden years platinum, because she loved the attention and all the fans. Olivia de Havilland is still living. She's in her 90s. She lives in Paris. And then there's also Alicia Rhett. She was India Wilkes. She lives in Charleston, also in her 90s. And then there are 3 men who were Bo Wilkes at different stages. There's Greg Geis, and he was actually Bonnie Blue and Bo Wilkes as infants, as tiny infants. And then there's Patrick Curtis. He was Bo Wilkes probably as like a 1-year-old, maybe a little younger. And then there's Mickey Coon, who was Bo Wilkes as a 7-year-old, and he had a further career in Hollywood. He was actually in A Streetcar Named Desire, just for a very small second. He's the sailor at the very beginning, when Vivian Lee is asking, she's trying to find directions to her sister's house there by the streetcar, and he was in Red River with John Wayne stuff. So they're all of the 3 men that I just mentioned, and Anne Rutherford, have all come here for our events and have done presentations. They have fascinating stories to tell. Usually once a year, we bring in authors who've written books about the movie or about the actors in the film. We also bring in people who write about Southern literature in general. Cast members, of course, surviving ones we try to bring in. We have usually a dance or a ball. Next year, 2014, will be the 75th anniversary, so it'll be a huge event. And we'll do a costume ball for that one. But in 2009, in our event then, we actually premiered the 70th anniversary collector's editions DVD and Blu-ray sets with Warner Brothers. They came here, CNN was here, news crews from all over. Out in the park, we had couples doing the Virginia Reel, over 70 costume couples, so that was on the news.
Red, you go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
A lot of people come in and say that, at least a few a day.